Hello everybody, this is the iFan channel here, and today I'm currently on a van now. I'm actually going to go from basically the city of Skopje to Sofia in Bulgaria. So I'm going to return to the EU. I'm going to spend 2 days in Sofia, and then afterwards I'm going to go to Plovdiv, and after Plovdiv I'm going to go to Bucharest. But in the middle of the way I'm actually going to be stopping by a city called Rus on the way from Plovdiv to Bucharest, and then after Bucharest I'm going to Budapest and then Vienna, and then I'm going to be going home to Massachusetts. So stay tuned. After about 5 hours on the bus and 1 hour time zone difference, I finally arrived in Sofia, Bulgaria, basically the capital and largest city of Bulgaria. And in 2 more days I'm going to be going to Plovdiv, which is actually the second largest city in Bulgaria, or third largest depending on the source. But as you can see, this is actually the restaurant I'm actually going to eat. This is Portokal. Basically, because I want something healthy before actually trying out Bulgarian food tomorrow, I'm actually going to eat this, which is actually rice vermicelli with chicken and vegetables. Basically, I'm going to be eating that before going to the hotel. And fun fact about the Bulgarian lev, the BGN, it actually has the same exchange rate with the Bosnian convertible mark, basically 1-to-1, kind of like the US dollar and the Panamanian Balboa. Basically the BGN and the BAM are both pegged with the euro, and hence you get this exchange rate which is constant. So basically here's my meal. I did pay around like $8 ish. Basically kind of expensive, but not really much, considering this is quite a nice restaurant and people do comment it is quite expensive. But I do think this is actually my meal here. After eating, I decided to return to my hotel. Luckily, this hotel does accept credit cards, fortunately. And here is a refrigerator, and this is what the bed looks like. Basically, you do have a lot of modern amenities and stuff. It is quite nice. The apartment is still under construction, however, but from what I see, it's kind of okay-ish. Just not as good as many Kendall Square ones. Maybe about as good as the one in Vietnam, the Happy One. But as you can see, you do get a kitchen and stuff. You do get restroom. However, you don't have a laundry, which is kind of unfortunate. But here you go. Basically quite a nice hotel. I'm actually going to be enjoying 2 nights here before I go out. After quite a nice sleep and a very, very long sleep, it is now close to noontime. I'm actually going to go out, eat some lunch, and then I'm going to enjoy Sofia to its fullest. Basically, these will be the places I actually miss going in Skopje. Basically, the city park is a bit far, but not really far. St. Bentiamon, Vodmo, and Millennium Cross are both really, really far. They're basically a 2-hour walk without any public transportation, as well as the Carter Winery. But I'm actually going to enjoy Sofia, why not? After exiting the hotel, I decided to enter the metro station to get to the center of Sofia. Basically, this is the first time in nearly 2 weeks I'm in any metro station. Basically, the most recent time was actually in Milan, Italy, which is like around 2 weeks ago. The other cities, even though some of them like Belgrade do have a streetcar system and a tram system, none of them have an underground metro like this in Sofia, Bulgaria. Okay guys, I'm currently in a metro station, and despite this ticket machine only accepts cash, over here you can actually tap your phone to actually pay to actually enter the metro. Basically this seems more modern than the MBTA in Boston, because in Boston they just started to implement this system like this year. But in New York, when I went like more than 5 years ago, pre-pandemic, they already accepted tap to pay, and I actually used tap to pay in New York. So why not? I'm actually going to go down the metro platform. Luckily, unlike in the Czech Republic, there's no like fast escalator. In fact, this is more subtle. You can actually use stairs and stuff, kind of like in Boston or New York. So basically, like, wow, I can't believe how clean this system is. Even for a relatively less developed country in Europe, this actually is the least developed EU country, but I still feel like the metro system is just more modern than many in Boston. Basically, the Wollaston station is the newest Red Line station and Green Line extension. But in reality, like the MBTA now has seen reliability issues. But wow, this is quite modern, especially compared with Sarajevo and Mostar. And here it is, the train. Basically, I do believe the train does go every 5 minutes, because I did miss the train by a minute and only had to wait 4 minutes. But as you can see, it is now like noontime in a weekend, and the train is still very crowded. In Boston, like the train would go every, like, I believe 10 minutes during weekend, every 5 minutes during weekdays, and essentially every 2 minutes during rush hour. But as you can see, this is what the Sofia train looks like. Basically akin to many mid-90s red line trains. I'm now exiting the extremely crowded metro. I'm actually going to go to a restaurant now and actually eat. As you can see, it is quite crowded here in Sofia. But over here is the National Palace of Culture. Basically, I'm actually going to look for food somewhere around here. And after several minutes of walking, I finally found food. This is actually Manas Triska Magarnica. Basically, I'm actually going to eat this, which is actually Bulgarian cuisine here. After about 45 minutes of waiting, my meal finally arrived. This is actually the kebab with fries and stuff, as well as with bread. Basically, I'm actually going to eat, and then I'm going to go to one of the attractions in Sofia. Basically, after eating, why not? I'm actually going to go to the supermarket to get some water to stay hydrated. And then I'm actually going to go to one of the attractions. Basically, after getting water for about 40 cents for 2 bottles, basically I'm now going to go to, you guessed it, one of the attractions. Basically, just a 7-minute walk away from the supermarket is actually this, which is actually the Slavikov Square, one of the most popular squares in all of Sofia. Basically, the square is actually named after Petko and Pencho Slavikov. As you can see, you can actually buy a lot of things around here. You can buy souvenirs and stuff. You can buy tools, as well as, you guessed it, even different props. But I'm not sure if they even sell any computers or not. But as you can see, it is quite crowded. But you could actually get a lot of items here. Basically, during Ottoman times, since 1515, this square is called Kafin Basi. Basically, during the Ottoman rule. And basically the Slavikovs were actually writers and poets. And after walking 5 minutes more, I finally arrived at the Ivan Vazov National Theatre, which is one of the most important theatres in all of Bulgaria, as well as one of the most important landmarks in all of Sofia. Basically, here it is. It was actually built in 1906. It opened in 1907, the year after, but it does seat 750 people. Basically, there's another 120 seats as well as 70 seats in the 4th floor, and it is actually the oldest and most authoritative theater in all of Sofia. So why not? I'm gonna show you guys the front of the theater. Well, over here is the front of the theater. Unfortunately, the theater is closed, but as you can see, this is the city garden, and I do believe there's some band and maybe some fair of some sort, because I do see a lot of crowds. And over there is actually a basketball court. Basically kind of a small one, but why not? I'm actually going to cross the city garden. Basically, there's a fair going on until I arrive at one of the churches. Basically, as you can see, this is actually the city garden. I'm actually going to go through it, albeit it'll be really crowded in here. So basically, you have to squeeze in. Since it's a really hot day today, basically close to 20 degrees Celsius, I do believe this water fountain is quite helpful to actually cool me down. Basically, as you can see, even more people. It is quite hard to walk now, but as you can see, basically there are a lot of fairs going on, as well as different festivals. I don't know what it is all about, but why not? I'm actually going to go to one of the cathedrals nearby. And close to the city garden is what is called the Russian Church, or the Church of St Nicholas the Miraclemaker. Basically, this church was actually built a few years before World War I in 1907. It was actually consecrated the year World War I, and I do believe it is actually named after Tsar Nicholas II, who was also the patron saint of this church over here. Basically, this is actually what the Russian church looks like, and this church was actually built on a site of the Serdika Mosque, which was actually destroyed by a fire in 1882. After communism ended, the Russian government did renovate this church, and inside there's actually an archbishop who actually died in 1950. His grave is in there. So why not? I'm actually going to go into the Russian church. I'm now heading in the Church of St Nicholas the Miraclemaker, aka the Russian church. I'm not sure if I could record or even make any noise, but I don't think I could make any noise. But why not? Let's see. Basically, there's not allowed recording here. Unfortunately, I could not record inside, but over here is the garden. Basically, it is quite good looking with a lot of plants and stuff, as you can see just around here. But unfortunately, like, pictures are not allowed inside the cathedral. And now very close to both the Basilica as well as the Church of St. Nicholas, over here is actually the monument to the militia who actually fought in the Liberation Army in 1877 during the Russo-Turkish War, which actually liberated Bulgaria and declared independence for Bulgaria during the late 19th century. And very close to both the Nevsky Cathedral as well as the Church of St. Nicholas is actually this, which is actually the Basilica of Saint Sofia, which actually gave its name to Sofia, which used to be known as Serdika. Basically, this church dates all the way back to the 4th century AD, and its predecessor actually did lay some council of Serdika, which actually was attended by 316 bishops. It's not a particularly tall church, however, at around 20 meters tall, but it is quite old. It is actually the very oldest church in all of Sofia. I'm not sure if it's Catholic or if it's Orthodox, but I do believe it's the former, because Orthodox Christianity was not founded until 1054. But why not? I'm actually going to go in here. Basically, as you can see, this is what the church looks like. A lot more simple than some other Orthodox churches around, but it is quite historic nonetheless, because it's actually built in a Roman style, and I do believe it was finished somewhere around the 6th century AD. Unfortunately, I could not go to the Basilica at the moment, and if I were to go in, I do have to pay 5 levs. But as you can see, they do not allow any pictures or anything. I'm not really sure. But basically, in there is actually what the Basilica looks like. You do have to pay 5 levs, and therefore I'm actually going to wait until the ceremony ends. Very, very close to the Basilica of Sofia is actually this, which is the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral. It was actually built between 1882 and 1912, and it is the largest church in all of Bulgaria. Basically, by far. Inside it is actually 3,170 square meters big. It is actually 53 meters tall, and also it actually houses the Patriarch of Bulgaria. Basically, until about 2000, it is actually the largest church in all of the Balkans. But that is one thing to discuss later. Basically, one of the 50 biggest churches in the world is actually this, and the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral is actually one of the 10 largest of all of the Orthodox churches. Basically, this Orthodox cathedral could fit up to 5,000 worshippers at once. But when I'm actually going to go into this Neo-Byzantine church to see what it's all about, but I do have to pay a fee to actually record, which I'm not going to, so I'm actually going to drop the camera. Unfortunately, there's actually a fee of 10 levs to take pictures and 30 levs to record, which would be prohibitively expensive, and basically that's about the same as a meal. So basically I would have to starve before I really take any pictures or videos. So now I'm actually going to leave the cathedral. But this cathedral was actually built to commemorate the deaths of soldiers during the Bulgarian War of Liberation from the Ottomans. I just got out of the Alexander Nevsky Cathedral, and over here is actually the monument of the Tsar Liberator, essentially Tsar Alexander II, who helped liberate the Russian Serbs from the Ottomans, and he actually did win the Russo-Turkish War of 1877. He actually died 4 years after. But as you can see, this is actually his statue of him riding a horse. This is actually an equestrian statue in the center of Sofia. Basically, Alexander II not only won the Russo-Turkish War, he also expanded the Russian Empire all the way to Central Asia, and is the most important Russian leader before Tsar Nicholas II, basically the very last Tsar, and after Peter the Great. Near the monument of Tsar Alexander II, there are also several institutions in Sofia, including this, which is actually the old National Assembly of Bulgaria, and over here is actually the Bulgarian Academy of the Sciences. So why not? I'm actually going to walk to the other side. Basically, I'm going to go to the Church of Nedelya. Basically, before going to the Church of Saint Nedelya, as well as several different churches nearby, why not? I'd stop by the Archaeological Museum, which is actually over here, which is also on the way, and it basically closes around 17 o'clock, so I'm going here, as well as the Regional Museum of Sofia, before actually going to, you guessed it, the churches, which actually closed at 19:30. So basically, here's the water fountain, and why not? I'm actually going to enter the Archaeological Museum. I'm now inside of the Archaeological Museum of Bulgaria, and as you can see, these are actually some ancient Greek vases over here. And if you were to go here, here are some more ancient Greek artifacts, basically ranging from bowls and stuff all the way to different types of ceramics. And here are some of the weapons from the Iron Age as well as the ancient Greek period. And I do believe these are actually from either the Bronze Age or the Stone Age. Over here are actually Roman tablets from the 2nd and 3rd century AD. And here are even more Roman tablets. And if you were to see, these are actually artifacts such as coins and vases from the early medieval era. Basically, these also came from the Byzantine period. And basically, here are some Roman decorated sculptures. And over here actually includes some Roman necropolises in Macedonia. Basically, the province of Macedonia used to be occupied by the Romans basically until the 4th or 5th century AD. But as you can see, here are actually some necropolises. These, however, are actually Roman steles. I'm now in the upstairs now, and as you can see, we first start at the Paleolithic era. Basically, this is like essentially 1 million to 250,000 years ago. This is the very early Paleolithic era. And here's some rock samples, and here's some samples, including some weapons and stuff, spears, as well as even tools. Basically, this is the Middle Paleolithic era, basically during the time of Homo erectus, and of course Neanderthals. And this is actually the late Paleolithic era, basically before the Ice Age. And during the Neolithic era was when things started getting more advanced, when people started settling down in one place rather than move around like nomads. Basically, as you can see, there are actually a lot of tools and stuff, vases, as well as different pottery. And so this is what the Copper Age looks like in terms of building materials. Basically a lot better than before, but still quite primitive. But as you can see, like basically a lot of materials are created, and basically the Bronze Age actually culminated in the founding of bronze alloy, which makes these type of materials, as you can see here. At another exhibition in the second floor is actually the medieval exhibition. As you can see, basically you do see some coins here, as well as some embroidery, embellishments and stuff, and some memorabilia. And over here it does show a history of Bulgaria during the Middle Ages, from when the Slavs actually start to invade and colonize Bulgaria, all the way unto the Ottomans by the end of the 14th century. But as you can see, here are actually some artworks, as well as, you guessed it, pottery and vases and stuff. Basically, you just see a lot of details, even certain tools and weapons and stuff. But as you can see, here are some artifacts from the medieval era. If you were to see, these are actually plates and dishes and stuff. And if you were to go here, here's actually some paintings from the medieval era, basically far less advanced than during the Renaissance, but I do believe this actually came from the 14th century, so it is slightly more advanced than some of the other ones, but still a lot less advanced. And here are some more medieval artwork. Over here are basically some coins, and basically this section is dedicated to medieval frescoes. I'm going to show you some, because it'll be quite a long walk, but as you can see. And here's of course a map. We have been here as well as here, basically the first floor and prehistory section, the Middle Ages section, and this section. Basically this is the very last section here. Last up, I'm in the treasury hall, which includes memorabilia from like the ancient Greek era as well as the ancient Roman era, basically the really early era of the ancient Roman period. But as you can see, over here are some like vases and stuff, and you can actually find some gold memorabilia as well over here. And here's some more artifacts. This is actually a gold sculpture, and I do believe this is some body armor or something during the very early ancient Greek period. And why not? I'm actually going to go outside now. I just left the Archaeological Museum and now I'm actually going to head towards the Regional History Museum of Sofia. Basically very close by, as it's very, very hot now. I'll show you guys the weather. It is absolutely hot. I'm now on my way to the Regional History Museum of Sofia, and over here is actually the Serdika Forum. I don't know what that statue is, but I might find out later after exploring my time at the city museum. But as you can see, basically that is an ancient road underneath, I believe so. And after several minutes of walking, I finally arrived at the Regional History Museum of Sofia. I'm actually going to stop by the Carrefour Market to get even more water. I did drink a lot of water today. And over here is actually the Banya Park. And over there is actually a fountain. Basically that will help cool me down. But I did have to resort to drinking a lot of water. Basically I drank like about a liter already in just around like 2.5 hours. I just got some water at the Carrefour. Basically I bought this only for about 0.75 Bulgarian lev, which is essentially 40 cents for this much. Basically 1.5 liters compared to 1 liter a la carte, which is crazy. There's actually a promotion going on and hence I could actually buy it at this price. But over here is the Centralna Banya Park. I'm actually going to go here next to actually cross to the Banya Mosque over there, and here is actually the City Museum of Sofia. Okay guys, I just arrived at the Regional Museum of Sofia, and here is actually the ground floor, and here is actually floor 1. And over here you could actually see, you could actually play a VR game of old Serdika, essentially. Basically now I just arrived at the museum, and over here are some Neolithic artifacts. Basically the very first European settlement is actually in Plovdiv, which is where I'm actually going to go tomorrow. And the reason why I'm going to Plovdiv is because it is the oldest European city, and over here is actually a Neolithic house, basically quite basic, but as you can see it does include all the essentials. Basically if you were to go here you actually see like some Bronze Age artifacts, as well as even Roman artifacts, Greek artifacts, and here you actually see Middle Age artifacts. And basically over here you would actually see some Ottoman artifacts, basically much more modern artifacts here. And basically over here actually religious artwork. Many of them actually come from the 18th and 19th centuries, oddly, even though many of these do seem like kind of like late Middle Ages and very early Renaissance paintings. But basically, as you can see from the date, you might be tricked already. Yeah, basically from the 18th and 19th century is quite fascinating. And over in this room it actually shows about the royal family since Bulgaria's independence from the Ottoman Empire. Basically this is Prince Alexander I, but basically due to the political situation he was actually abdicated several years later. And this is Prince Ferdinand, and over here is actually Louis XVI's chariot, actually used in Prince Ferdinand I and Princess Mariya Luiza's wedding. And basically I do believe this is actually the last emperor of Bulgaria before communism over here, Tsar Boris III. Basically I don't know what happened, but that's when his reign actually ended. And of course over here is actually Tsar Ferdinand I. You also see an interior of an upper class family in Sofia, Bulgaria, as well as some basically appliances and stuff. Sorry, meant silverware. And over here are some of the materials used in the royal family of Bulgaria here. And lastly, here's 20th century Sofia here, basically with a lot of new shoes and stuff, new materials. And you even have a car as well from the early 20th century, as well as even a baby stroller from the 20th century. Basically you do have some equipment here, and I do believe this is actually a passport of some kind. And over here is actually the clothing of Bulgaria and the train. Basically this is Sofia's oldest streetcar. I'm now on the second floor now, and unfortunately I do not have much time because the museum would actually close in 10 minutes. But here is actually a typical house of a upper middle or upper class in Sofia, Bulgaria over here. Specifically this is furniture from the house of Dimitar Hadjikosev, from the end of the 19th to the 20th century. And over here would it be a Bulgarian traditional dress from the early 20th century. Basically over here some ornaments from Sofia, basically from vases all the way to fans and stuff. Basically you just see a lot of materials and household tools and stuff. And over here is actually piano. Basically these are appliances from the 20th century, including a car, basically a really long car in the 1940s here. Basically I do believe this is actually a sewing tool, and these are toys and these are furniture and stuff. Over here basically Bulgarian clothing during the 20th century, and here are some instruments as well as the gramophone, and here's some more furniture. Basically here are some archaeological artifacts here, and I'm actually going to leave the City Museum because it will close in a few minutes. After a huge rush at the City Museum, not getting to visit every single exhibition but visiting the most important ones, I'm finally outside now in the Centralna Banya Park. I'm actually going to walk through this park to actually get to the mosque over there. I'm now very close to the Banya Bashi Mosque, which is actually the central mosque of Sofia, and over here is actually a bust of Thomas Woodrow Wilson, basically the president of the United States during World War I. And as you can see down there is actually a Ottoman ruin from the 15th century over here. I do believe this is actually an Ottoman bath of some sort. And after several seconds walking, I finally arrived in the Banya Bashi Mosque, which is actually built by Mina Sinan in 1566. And the fun fact about this mosque is it is built around the thermal spas. As you can see over there is actually the Ottoman bath, and why not I actually go into the mosque. And over here it is, the mosque, basically the central mosque of Sofia. Unfortunately cannot really talk loud here because there might be some noise restrictions. I'm scared people might yell at me as well, so I just have to drop the camera. But it is quite nice in here, even if it's not as big as some other mosques I've visited, like say this Sheikh Zayed Mosque in Abu Dhabi. After leaving what is the city's only functioning mosque, I'm currently in ancient Serdika, basically a Roman form in Sofia. Basically, I do believe this is a lot more underrated than many Roman forms. Not only is it free, but not many people know about it. Over here are some like old buildings which might have been decayed over time. But as you can see, this is actually the Hippocos from the 4th century AD. Basically one of the rooms of a large late antique building. And here's some more rooms. And over here's the Felix House, basically a large building covering an area of more than 650 square meters. And over here is the largest of them all. At 950 square meters, the Magistrate House, which was built during the late Roman Empire and the very beginning of the Byzantine Empire, is the biggest in this Serdika Forum over here. I just left the Serdika Forum. I'm currently on the way to the St Nedelya Church, and over here is actually the statue of Saint Sofia, basically the patron of the city, of whom the city is named after. Basically now over here I do believe is actually the Nedelya Church here. Down there is the medieval church of St Pekka, and why not I'm actually going to go to the St Nedelya Cathedral. Now close to the St Nedelya Church there is actually more archaeological artifacts here. Basically I do believe this is under construction, by the way, but why not I'm going to go in. After taking about several minutes to find the entrance as well as seeing a panda bear, I'm actually at the entrance of St Nedelya Church. Basically this is the cathedral of the Sofia bishopric of the Bulgarian Patriarch. Basically this church was actually founded in the 10th century AD, but was rebuilt several times until become a cathedral in the 18th century. Over here I don't know who actually died, but basically I'm actually going to enter the church, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to record because I'm not allowed to record in the previous churches. And basically this Orthodox church is a lot older than the Alexander Nevsky Church, the St Nicholas Church, basically quote unquote the Russian church, as well as several others. But basically we need to mourn this guy. I do believe it's a Blagodatsky or something. Basically he's born in 1945, I believe so. I've only been in the church for about 2 minutes and the rain is like absolutely heavy. So why not? I'm actually gonna take shelter here. But fun fact, it does cost 5 BGN, but I'm not paying to take pictures. Basically, you could look at these pictures online of the Sofia Basilica, the Russian Church, the Alexander Nevsky Church, and the St Nedelya Church. These are free. I would not want to pay 5 BGN and then waste money and stop for dinner. I would rather have a better dinner than just to take pictures. After about 3 minutes, the rain has finally gone. Yes, basically the rain only lasted around like 4 or 5 minutes. Basically a flash rain essentially. And this is St Nedelya Square. Basically quite an ordinary square in fact. But why not? I'm actually going to go to the ancient Orthodox round church, which is very nearby. Basically surrounded by shops as well as the presidential palace of Bulgaria. Over here is actually the round church, basically an ancient Orthodox church. Why not? I'm actually going to go in. I'm finally at the quote-unquote rounded church. Basically this is really ancient. This is actually the church of St George. It was actually built in the 4th century AD around the Roman baths over here. Basically this is another Roman form in Serdika. And basically this is actually located in the walls of Serdika, which used to be the capital of Dacia, Mediterranean at the time. But then during the Byzantines, it was then converted into an Orthodox church, and hence it is actually considered an Orthodox church. But as you can see, this is actually a really old church, even older than the Basilica of Saint Sofia. Basically in the church there are actually 22 frescoes of prophets, which are over 2 meters tall on a dome. And I'm not really sure if I could actually go in or not, but this is actually the oldest building in all of Sofia. Basically over here is actually the entrance to the ancient church. It does say Kram Zvet Vyemchuk Georgi Rotunda. Basically here it is, basically inside of the church. It does include some religious figures such as Jesus and stuff, and some others. Unfortunately, despite the fact the outside does allow videos and stuff, I could not actually record in the inside, as you can see. So I do have to go out now, and I'm actually going to go to the Palace of Culture before actually eating dinner. I'm now at the metro station heading towards the National Palace of Culture. Basically, it'll be another 7 minutes until the metro arrives, but the reason for the great crowds at the metro and plus at the city garden is it's because it's Children's Day today. Yes, I actually saw on Google Maps Children's Day might affect the hours, so I do believe it's Children's Day, so why not? I'll see you guys when I arrive at the metro. Basically the M2 just arrived, so why not? I'm actually going to enter the M2 to actually get to the National Palace of Culture. And yes, I did only have to ride one stop. I just got out of the metro station here, and over here is the National Palace of Culture. And over here is actually the metro. Basically this metro only opened around 26 years ago, so very recent. In fact, last year they actually celebrated their 25th anniversary, so hence you do see more modern trains as well as greater reliability than the MBTA. Even in Sofia, Bulgaria, the capital of the poorest EU country. So why not? I'm actually going to enter the National Palace of Culture. But over here are actually some bands and stuff. I do believe there's actually a festival here as well, a book festival. Okay guys, unfortunately there is actually an event, so I cannot actually go in. But over here is one of the largest conference buildings in the world. This is actually the National Palace of Culture. It was actually built in 1981. Led by Alexander Georgiev Barov, along with several foreign architects. Basically, this building was built to commemorate the 1300th anniversary of Bulgaria, hence the year 681 there. Let me tell you how big it is. Basically, this National Palace of Culture is actually 15,000 square meters big, but in total, spanning 8 floors, it is actually 123,000 square meters big. And it could fit up to several thousand people. Specifically 3,000 people in the main hall alone. I'm sorry to have to shout because there's actually a rock band playing. I'm now getting out of the National Palace of Culture area, and why not, I'm actually going to look for food because I'm nearly finished with all the attractions. Basically afterwards I'm thinking of going to the Borisova Gradina Park, and then I'm going to return to the hotel. Basically over here is actually Vitosha Boulevard, one of the main streets of Sofia. Basically this street is around 2.7 kilometers long or 1.7 miles. It stretches all the way from the Nedelya Square all the way down to the southern park, and it does feature a lot of luxury stores and stuff, basically fashion stores. And if you want to see, I'll show you guys the extensive list. And basically this street, it actually acquired its name during the liberation in the 1880s. And basically it is the main commercial street of Sofia, and essentially kind of like Champs-Élysées sort of, and Dam. Another fun fact is under the Vitosha Boulevard is actually the M2 metro, and Vitosha Boulevard is actually named after a mountain called Vitosha in Bulgaria. And over here is the boulevard. Now I'm actually going to look for somewhere to eat. I do believe there's actually a lot to eat because this is actually the center of Sofia, essentially the capital of all of Bulgaria and the largest city. After taking several minutes to look for food, I finally found a restaurant called Made in Home. I'm basically going to eat the saffron basmati bowl with concasse salad, and I'll show you guys what it is. Over here is my saffron basmati bowl. It actually cost me 20 BGN, which is quite expensive, but if compared with like say kava or something, it is quite affordable. Basically, even if you compare it with Chipotle or Sweet Green, this is still quite good deal. And it is basically comparable with yesterday's meal. After eating, the very last place I'm actually going to visit is actually the Borisova Gradina Park. Basically one of the biggest parks in all of Sofia. Basically you do have the city garden, which I have visited, but that is a small park. This is a much bigger park, and I'm actually going to walk around here before actually returning to the hotel. Not only is this park amongst the biggest in all of Sofia, it is also the oldest and most well-known. Construction actually started in 1884, ordered by Tsar Boris III, hence the name. And this whole park actually spans 3 square kilometers, which means this park is very big. I'm currently in the park now, and I do believe there's actually another rock band playing. But why not? I'm actually going to go around the park to see what is in here. Okay guys, after walking out of the band, there's actually more forest to go. Over here will be the Vasil National Stadium. And if you were to see here, this is actually a grander view of the Vasil National Stadium. If you were to walk several meters from the Nevsky Stadium, you would actually find this, which is actually the Rosarium, an idea conceived by Joseph Fry. Basically, this is a free botanical garden, essentially, with all the flowers and stuff. You can actually see different flowers. It is quite amazing here. But it is starting to get dark. So basically, after around like 10 minutes more, I'm actually going to return to my hotel. But here are some of the flower samples. Now, after a short walk, you would actually find out the playground elephant over here. Basically, this is where children play. And this is just a typical playground, but it is quite a big one nonetheless. But why not? I'm actually going to find a Japanese tree before I return to the hotel. Now, as you can see, this park does have at least several statues. As you can see, I do believe these are actually some famous Bulgarians. And over here, I believe there's some theater of some sort, used for like live performances. But I'm trying to find the Japanese tree before I leave the park. Unfortunately, it's so dark and I could not find a tree. But the tree is listed on Google Maps, so whatever. I'm just going to return to the hotel. Okay guys, I'm now waiting for the bus, and these are some of the attractions I've missed. Unfortunately, for the Basilica of Saint Sofia, I was not able to go because of the event, which I was not even allowed in unless if I paid money. So I basically did not go, and it actually closed at around 6 p.m. so it's quite early. But as you can see, the Banya Church is a bit far, and the National Museum of History also closed, and it did not have time. But nonetheless, I did enjoy Sofia. Basically kind of like Warsaw essentially, because of the good public transportation and quite affordable food. But I actually ate expensive food, however, but the food is quite affordable compared to other European cities. as well as affordable attractions as well. Having functional public transit, especially metro, is quite good. But the downside is Bulgaria does not have as many famous people as in Warsaw, Poland. After a while, I finally arrived at my hotel. I'm actually going to sleep now, so thank you guys for watching. Please give a big thumbs up, subscribe for more videos. Yes, I'm just going to enjoy my hotel until about like midnight-ish. Basically 1 or 2 a.m. and then I'm going to sleep. And then tomorrow I'm going to wake up at 9 a.m. to catch the bus over to Plovdiv.